At my wedding, my grandfather said, "Remember, your body belongs to your husband now." The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, while 200 guests turned to stare. My grandfather stood at the microphone, that satisfied smile on his face, unaware he'd just detonated a bomb in the middle of my reception. "What did you just say?" My voice carried across the sudden silence of the ballroom, and I watched my new husband Daniel's face drain of color as he realized what was happening. "I said your body belongs to your husband now, sweetheart. It's tradition, the way marriage has worked for thousands of years." Grandfather adjusted his navy medal on his jacket, standing straighter like he was defending freedom itself. "Your grandmother understood this, God rest her soul. She never denied me once in 63 years. The microphone feedback screeched, but not as loud as my Aunt Patricia's gasp from table 3, where she sat with her mouth hanging open in horror. Daniel stepped forward, reaching for my hand, but I was already moving toward the stage where grandfather stood. My mother tried to intercept me, whispering frantically about not making a scene, but I brushed past her, my heels clicking against the floor like gunshots. "Grandpa, we need to talk about this privately," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but he waved me off with that dismissive gesture I'd seen him use on waitresses and store clerks my whole life. "Nothing private about marriage wisdom, Melissa. These young people need to hear the truth about commitment." He turned back to the crowd, warming to his topic. "Women today think marriage is a partnership of equals, but that's not what biology intended. A wife's body is designed to serve her husband's needs, to bear his children, to maintain his household. It's not oppression, it's nature's order." My cousin Rebecca stood up from table 7, her pregnant belly prominent in her bridesmaid dress. "Grandpa, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop talking." But he just laughed, that condescending chuckle that meant he thought we were being hysterical females. "See, this is what I mean. No respect for elder wisdom anymore. Rebecca, your husband should teach you when it's appropriate to speak at formal events." Rebecca's husband Thomas actually laughed nervously, then caught her death glare and quickly looked down at his plate. The DJ had turned off the music, and now the only sound was the fountain in the corner and my grandmother's sister Eleanor clearing her throat repeatedly from the head table. She was 91 and had that look on her face like she was about to reveal family secrets we'd all regret hearing. "Robert," Eleanor's voice cut through the tension like a blade, "shut your ignorant mouth before I tell everyone what your precious wife really thought about your marriage." Grandfather turned red, his hand gripping the microphone stand. "Don't you dare speak ill of Margaret, Eleanor. She was a perfect wife." Eleanor's laugh was sharp and bitter. "Perfect? She planned to leave you in 1973, had the divorce papers drawn up and everything." The revelation sent whispers rippling through the crowd. I stood frozen between the tables, watching my family's careful facade crumble in real time. Daniel appeared at my elbow, speaking quietly. "Should we stop this?" But I couldn't move, couldn't think beyond the fact that my grandfather was ruining my wedding with his prehistoric views, and apparently, my grandmother had wanted to escape him. "That's a lie," grandfather sputtered. But Eleanor was already pulling papers from her purse, yellowed documents she'd apparently been carrying for decades, waiting for this moment. "Divorce petition, dated March 15th, 1973. Margaret Louise Brennan versus Robert James Brennan. Grounds, physical and emotional cruelty." She waved the papers in the air. I talked her out of it because divorce was social suicide back then. Biggest regret of my life. My father finally seemed to snap out of his shock and climbed onto the stage, gently but firmly taking the microphone from grandfather's hands. "Dad, that's enough. You're done speaking." But grandfather wasn't finished. He raised his voice to carry without amplification. "This is what feminism has done. Destroyed the sacred institution of marriage. Made women think they can deny their husbands, pursue careers instead of motherhood, act like men instead of ladies. I'm a neurosurgeon," I said, my voice loud and clear. "I spent 12 years in training. I saved lives, and my body belongs to no one but me." The words hung in the air, and I saw several older relatives shift uncomfortably. Uncle Stephen was nodding along with grandfather, while his wife Linda stared at her hands. Their daughter Caitlin, fresh out of law school, stood up slowly. "Actually, Grandpa, marital rape has been illegal in all 50 states since 1993. A spouse's body doesn't belong to their partner. That's called slavery." Caitlin's voice was steady, lawyer-like, but her hands were shaking. "And Mom," she turned to Linda, "you don't have to stay with someone who agrees with this. You have options." Stephen stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "Don't you dare talk to your mother about our marriage. She's happy, aren't you, Linda?" All eyes turned to Linda, who sat perfectly still for a long moment, but her next answer changed everything. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.